Football. That's what this show is about. I am your host, George Carmona, and today we are having our first ever Podcast Junkeez extravaganza. Let me explain this to you really quick. So Sticky Paws Studios is where Podcast Junkeez Network is housed out of. That's where Gridiron Junkeez, Action Junkeez, Fitness Junkeez, Bizarre Junkeez, Latino Junkeez, Fight Junkeez. How many more Junkeez can I fit? All the Junkie shows exist underneath this roof. And it's so cool that we were able to do that and open up a Podcast Junkeez Studios in Boca Raton, Florida. John Orlando, the owner, the CEO of Podcast Junkeez, he put me into contact with our guest today, and he said, hey, you have a football show. He talks picks. Let's make this happen. Trey, bring up for me Mr. Scott Matthews. How you doing, man?
I'm doing great. A lot of junkies out there, huh?
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, the majority of the junkies in Las Vegas do live underneath the tunnels, and whenever it rains, they die. So
I think I've been in those tunnels some nights after getting beat up in the casinos. Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
don't remind me. Long time ago.
Okay. I don't want to bring up a sore subject for you, but I mean, Vegas can be amazing for some people and horrible for others. Scott, before the show, you were telling me a little bit about you coming to Las Vegas. So why don't you just tell me a little bit about yourself and highlight to me your best and your worst Vegas trip?
Oh boy, there's been so many. If I had to guess, I'd say I've been to Vegas since the mid 80s. About 400 times flying out there from South Florida. I've been around this business, guys, since 1987 in the sports picks, selling my service to people around the country. Then it went international, and then it got into, now social media. So there's been so many steps in my career of doing this. It's pretty amazing. And now with the legalization, obviously, George, of what's going on out there,
yeah,
you're getting so many new players, a lot of female players. I've been getting a lot of women joining my service lately. Matter of fact, just yesterday alone, 3 women, young girls, maybe in their 20s, 30s, came on board. They see what I'm doing. They say, hey, we like what we're seeing out there on your social media, and we like to be a part of the madness. So I'm excited. I really am.
I'm stoked that you just told me that there's a wave of woman bettors. I got my fiance playing about 2 years ago, right? I was able to entice her. Now with all these apps, right? It makes everything so much easier. But I mean, we don't have the FanDuels out here. We only have the Vegas sports books,
right?
The ones that are the toughest to beat. And I told her to this. I'm like, hey, you're not going to have too much success early on. It's okay. Vegas, it's very tough to beat the books in Vegas.
They don't build those $5 billion resorts for no reason, right?
Oh, dude, no. Another one just went up. I don't know if you heard about Durango. There's going to be a new casino in Vegas that opens up in November, and it's about 2 miles from the studio here. It's called Durango.
Okay. Oh, cool. All right. I've been out. The last time I was out there, I took my son. We went to the UFC. I'm a big UFC guy, and I go to a lot of the big fights because I still pull seats, from the casinos. They give me great seats. They're bunker seats. I use the Wynn, Caesars. So I was out there about 2 months ago, 2 or 3 months ago. My son, we had a good time out there. So I still get, all the perks. Not as much as I used to because I kind of cut it down the way I was playing. I was going about 10 times a year or more.
Jesus.
And, now I'm down a few times because, listen, when you get kids, you get a wife that gets a little pissed at you, you got to kind of keep it all intact.
Yeah, but it's fun. It's family vacations, You see all the strollers on Fremont Street and going down the strip, and you're like, who brings their kids to Vegas? It's people who gamble a lot and get it for free. Am I right? I mean, I'm sure you took them occasionally.
Oh, yeah, definitely. But, my kids were young, so they couldn't really utilize anything. They couldn't go in the casinos. They had to stay on the outside. There was nothing really for them to do. I had to take them like the circus with my wife. We used to, stroll over there and, kill the day going on some of those amusements. But it's not really fun for kids. It really isn't. I mean, I can't believe they even were trying. I'm sure you remember years ago, I don't even know how long, maybe it was 10 years or less. They were trying to build up as a family resort, and they were, encouraging kids to come to Vegas. I just don't see it. I just don't see kids in Vegas.
Yeah, no, we're missing an amusement park that is worth a shit. Like you said, Circus has the Adventure Dome, and that place it's about
Pretty
2
cool.
years away. I would say though, like in comparison to like whatever other big time amusement park, Six Flags and stuff, it's not that good.
No, of course.
But I do think you bring up a good point, and I need to know, do you think kids, I think at a certain level, maybe like 10 years or older, they should be allowed to sit with Pops at a table and watch him fucking defeat the blackjack dealer? Am I right?
I mean, as long as they're not doing anything, why not? I mean, what's the issue? I guess they don't want to encourage, the gambling aspect. But let me tell you something. I have a son that's 16 years old. I think I'm the number one fan in that whole school. They're all watching my videos. Not that I'm proud of it by any stretch, because I tell them stay away from the gambling. But all these kids are reaching out to me and DMing me that are my son's friends, asking me about picks. So it's crazy what's going on out there with the young kids in sports betting. I don't know. I'm not a huge fan by any stretch on young kids gambling, to be honest.
Well, you've seen, right, the evolution just yourself of you had to learn that lesson once or twice, right, of understanding what your bankroll is. And when you're so young, and like these kids are growing up on these video game currencies, you're buying fucking Robux. It doesn't feel like you're losing money, but you're definitely losing money. And
losing my money.
Yeah, I'm sure you've bought plenty of Robux cards.
Roblox.
Oh yeah.
Oh boy. It's crazy. Yeah.
I just had Bill Krakenberger in the studio. He's a big time sports bettor. I don't know if you're familiar with him.
Yes, I've heard of him.
So he just was bringing up the same thing on a show that we recorded yesterday, just about how in about 5 years' time, you're going to see this wave of kids that just is so incompetent with money because of all these fun ways that they can spend money on, easy ways. Because if it's not sports gambling, I mean, the wife's at home buying all the shit on Amazon. So like, I don't know. It's the same.
Too easy. It's too easy.
Way too easy.
In my day, you couldn't do anything like this. You know what I mean? No phones, nothing. When I was a kid, yeah, different ball game altogether. But you got to roll with the times. It's different eras, different situations right now. But it's like the wild, wild west out there when it comes to gambling. All ages, it seems like, are just jumping in on it. And then like you said, my key that I preach, if you don't mind me getting into this a little, my biggest thing I tell players, quality over quantity, money manage. That's the only shot you have to making money betting on sports. If you're a loose cannon and you're somebody that's just jumping all over the place and chasing games live, you're not going to make money. There is no way in the world you could prove to me any different than that. I've seen it for 36 years professionally.
Wow. Yeah, no, I trust me. I hear it, right? I hear your lessons. I'm indoctrinated in this culture here at the studio that has kind of put me on to what do sharp bettors do, right? People that are having people pay them for their picks. What is their process like? So I'll ask that to you. What makes a quality bet in your opinion, and how do you determine that?
Well, it's called years in the business. It's called knowledge of knowing numbers, looking at things that, I really look deep into what I do. I spend hours and hours a day doing this. I might work till 1 o'clock in the morning from starting at 9 o'clock in the morning. I mean, I'm dedicated. I can't speak for everyone out there, but my experience and my success is numbers. Anyone could tell you a song and a dance story, how great this is, how great this player is. When they get out there and play, it is what it is. Like, how do you expect Chubb to go out in the first quarter the other night? Changes the whole complexion of that bet. I mean, if you think about it, Aaron Rodgers, I mean, the Jets came back and won it, but going out in the fourth play of the season for him. So it's all about numbers for me. The numbers tell the real deal behind the scenes. I look at certain things. I've been doing this, remember, for 36 years. So I know numbers as good as anybody out there. And if I think the game has a shot based on the number of the game, or I adjust it to where I want it to go, and I'm a big component. I'm buying points on certain games to really make my bet even stronger. So that's my success. Like I said, that's how I do it. I have some good people around me. Remember, I've been going to Vegas and casinos around the United States since I was a young kid. probably about 18, 19 years old. So I don't want to give away, my great age here. But the bottom line is I've been doing this a long time. So I know sharp people. I know what it takes. I know when the sharp moves are kind of going on certain games, versus Joe Public that just bets the bet. So that's what I do. I put it all together. Listen, doesn't make me right all the time. I just want to be consistent. If I can hit, if I put out 9 games a week and I win 6 of them, I'm making my people money. I'm not giving away. I'm giving quality over quantity. Bottom line.
I like that.
If that answers your question.
No, 100% answers my question. Now I'm going to drill you with some hard ones here. This is one that I always am interested in knowing. And do you bet your own money?
Yes.
Okay.
Obviously. I have credit lines all over the country. So I play mainly when I really play is when I like to go to the casinos because I like to get my money right away. So, obviously, when I'm busy like this, I got to be honest with you, I haven't been making the trips I used to make. As I said, I used to go 10, 12 times a year to different places. That was just Vegas. And then I used to go to Connecticut and Atlantic City and so forth and so on. So I take what I do very serious. I do put my money on games. And obviously, that's how I sell my service because I tell the people, listen, I'm vested just like you. A lot of these guys say, oh, what do you got? Nothing to lose. What do you mean I got nothing to lose? I have clients all over the country that are paying me money and I'm vested into the games. I got a lot more to lose than one customer that, might lose a bet on one game. So, I'm vested on what I do.
Excellent. No, I figured as much, man, because I think it takes time in the game to.
You don't believe in yourself. Correct. How can you sell your service if you don't believe in yourself at the end of the day? I'm speaking for myself. There's plenty of guys that can sell, the Brooklyn Bridge to anybody out there. But for me, I'm all about doing the right thing. Doesn't mean I'm going to win all the time, of course.
And that's extremely important for people to understand because it's something that, I'm 25 years old. I'm pretty young. I'm new into the space of wanting to be a successful sports bettor, but then also understanding the tropes that people fall into, right? You had mentioned a dude before we got on air, the Vegas Dave.
There you go.
And I've heard about, times where he's putting huge tickets down on both sides. So then that way he can just promotionally just always be in the perception of people as hitting the winners. And it's this false advertising thing that I know he's not the only one. You know what I mean? How does that make you feel, a person who's really shows integrity in what he does, as opposed to somebody who's willing to commit, I guess, minor fraud, right? The yellow journalism a little bit.
Well, I don't get involved with people like that, to be honest with you. I'm all about what I do. I have my ways of thinking and my ways of doing business. And if I don't have the belief in it, I don't put it out. That's just, how I do my thing. Yeah, there's a lot of guys out there making false claims that they're winning all these games and so forth. There's nothing to back it up. They're not on social media. They don't have websites. They're calling people on the phone. I mean, I understand the consumer's got issues, trying to figure out who's real and who's not real. And I get a lot of that. I get guys reaching out to me that are following me. George, I get guys all the time, hundreds of people a day that are reaching out to me through social media. And they're following me for a while. A lot of them, some just come across me. Some have been following me for months. Some have followed me for a couple of years, whatever the case may be. And they still question the integrity. And I say, guys, you're coming to me. You're watching me. Yeah. You see what I'm doing. If you don't believe in it, why reach out? You got to always be on the defense, I guess. Not that I want to be. But I understand the situation. They get approached by guys like Vegas Dave, promising them, pay me $999 for my wheel play, and the game's gonna, definitely win, or whatever he says to them. I don't know. I never spoke to the man. I don't know anything about him.
You've heard
Could be the nicest guy in the world, but I don't deal with guys like that.
Yeah, no, and I'm now going to just segue and shift into, what is your favorite sport to bet? Because obviously you're studying it. Whenever you're studying something, you better fucking like it. I'm assuming you're not a big cricket player. I could be wrong. What's your favorite sport?
Pickleball. That's my number one sport. No, pickleball. There you go. That's I think all the females in the community I live in, they're all into screaming about pickleball. But no, my favorite sport, to be honest with you, I love college basketball. absolutely love it, especially when they're in conference and they go into those tournaments, conference tournaments. And then, March Madness, love college hoops, been really good with college hoops for a long time. Love baseball has been, I'll tell you what, probably this year alone, and guys that have followed me know this, probably the best year I've ever had in all my business years in baseball from April through yesterday, which I was fortunate to win yesterday with Toronto Blue Jays as a nice winner against the Yankees. But yeah, baseball's been a killer. I mean, I really like them all because I put the time in. So to me, it's, just turning the page. You go from one sport to the other. And again, when you're watching numbers, I look for numbers in the NFL. I look for numbers in college football. I look for numbers in the NBA. It's all about numbers. And if I could beat that point spread and think I got the upper hand, I'm going, as they say, John Orlando would probably know this better than me. I'm going all in. I'm not a poker guy, but I'll push the stacks in.
I like that. So I know this is a football show, but I have a futures bet on the Texas Rangers. I can care less about baseball, right? But John Orlando, he actually told me, he's like, hey, the Rangers could be something this year. I put $20 at 60-1. Then they set the world on fire.
Yeah, they were hot.
And then I checked the standings, and I was like, oh, my God, we're fighting for a wild card spot. They're now back to like 20-1 as of a couple of days ago. How do you feel about – give me some like hope for the Rangers. If it's anything negative, we'll go to the next question.
I think that's all the best word you just described. That you need some hope. You need some hope, brother. I don't know about that one. I picked about a month ago, and the Baltimore Orioles, I thought, had a shot to win the World Series. They were about 20-1 at that time. I waited probably 100 games into the season to put it out, but I thought Baltimore. I think they're strong. I mean, they got a decent pitching. They shows up. They got a good lineup. They're a good all-around team. They're good defensively. They're a team I think has a shot. I mean, Atlanta obviously is going to be the number one seed, probably the Dodgers right there. The top teams look tough. I actually put out a second half play that I thought would be the big play would be Seattle Mariners. So I looked pretty good there. They were 2 games under 500 going to the All-Star break. And then they were up almost 20 games over. So they were up like 22 games. Lately, they've been slacking off a little bit, but I put them out as like an improved a prop play for the second half. So
yeah,
who knows?
Yeah, your prop play could be ruined by my futures play. They play 6 games to close the season there, or 7 games. So it's going to be pretty interesting. That'll be 100% for that wild card spot. So
Atlanta's tough though, man. They got some great pitching. I mean, they're going to be tough. I mean, they got some great players, guys stepping it up big time, and with good pitching around you. They're going to be a tough out to beat.
That's what wins games. Wins games in October. But other than that, all right, we're approaching week 3 of the NFL season here. We have the Thursday night game starting today, where this episode will come out tomorrow, so it'll be today. I have no clue who's playing in this one now.
I could tell you.
Who is it?
It's New York Giants against San Francisco 49ers. They're 10.5-point dog. Totals about 45.5 on the game. And I don't like this game at all because I've been a big fan of going against double-digit favorites in the NFL for many years. I mean, it got a little better last year for the favorites, but if you bet against double-digit, 10-point or more favorites in the NFL, you made some damn good money over a long period of time in the NFL. So a short week. San Francisco is definitely the better team. They're put together right, offensively and defensively. The Giants, you lose Barkley. Now what's Jones going to, what's he going to decide to do on a short week to replace an out like that?
Yep.
And, I mean, this could be almost like a Jets Dallas game, a railroaded type of game, but I'm not touching it just because that 10-point thing. And I think San Fran, if they're right, they're definitely the much better team. So I'm staying clear of that game on Thursday. Can't help you on that one.
Yeah, no, I feel very similar to it. I was actually planning on going to it when I thought the games would align because they play in Santa Clara. My brother plays for San Jose State University, so it's a cool 15-minute drive. And I was like, I'm going to double up on this one. Then I thought it was a Thursday night game, and I was like, shit. All right,
yeah, not a good bet. Not a good bet.
Yeah, I'm not too high on the 49ers offense and their ability to like blow out teams. Like they have all the tools. I'm not a Brock Purdy believer by any means. I still think that
7-0 starter.
I agree. Or at least I know that part, but I
Can't
think
get better than that.
Dude, look at what Kenny Pickett was able to pull off on Monday night versus the Browns. You know, like Kenny Pickett has a phenomenal defense with the Steelers. It doesn't surprise me that they're able to win games. You know, you just have to be average enough to put your team in a position, not turn the ball over. And I think Brock Purdy will do that, and they'll probably cover that 10.5 point spread. But one of the things I was going to ask you was what week of the NFL provides the most insight? Like once we hit week 3, are you like, all right, everything that we're going to know about this team, we already know? I know week 1 and week 2, it's kind of like our preconceived notions from before, or is it different in your head?
I think it's totally different because you got to watch these teams week to week because listen, injuries, teams are going to get a lot of injuries throughout the year. So just when you think you're zoned in on them, they lose a key player or two, take the zone right out of them. I mean, I think you just got to, I don't like to do long range selections. I'm not a big fan of it. Not saying, a lot of people love it. I'm not a futures guy. I don't want to make a prediction today for who's going to win the Super Bowl, things like that. I like to go week to week. I like to see what's going on. I think you need more games to really judge these teams, to really see what's going on, because don't forget, they play out of conference. They play in conference. They're doing things. So they might not get up for this team this week. They might get really up for the team, conference game the week after. They could have been on the road for a couple of weeks. Now they're coming home. How is that line on the game? How does it jive at the end of the day? That's what we want. That's what we want. We want to take advantage of what we think is an opportunity. So to answer your question, I don't think the first couple of weeks is the answer. I think you got to go a little bit out and you got to really see how they're doing. And hopefully they don't have any injuries. And then you could get more of a gauge on this team is really strong and they're on all cylinders versus a team that's up and down.
Got it. And do you feel the same way about college football? Younger athletes, people always say, I love watching college football because they're all laying it on the line for that potential NFL contract. When in my head, I'm also like, these are also the most predictable athletes in the sense of I just need a bit of a smaller sample size. Like for me, after watching week 1 with Colorado, that pretty much tells me all I need to know, that they're going to be pretty competitive throughout the remainder of the year based on the athletes that they were able to acquire for the year. Do you feel the same way about college football?
Oh, definitely. Well, college football, we all know, it's all about emotions. I mean, look at that game the other day. I mean, Coach Primetime. Wow. Talk about crazy stuff going on. 3-0 beats TCU, a ranked team on the road. His son throws for over 510 yards in the game. He's thrown for over almost 1,250 yards in 3 games. I mean, they have talent. Now they're going on the road against a team like Oregon, who's putting up 58 a game. Think about it, almost 60 points a game.
Yeah.
That is about as high potent an offense as you're going to see. We'll get some reality checks on Colorado coming up real soon, because when they play against these big teams in the Pac-12 who can put it up as well as they can, and they could shut them down on defense, I'll get a better vibe on it. But yeah, I mean, it's all about emotions in college football, and it's probably a little easier to gauge college football week to week than the NFL. I mean, I've had more success probably. This year I'm kicking ass, as they say in the NFL. I've been on fire. I can't complain. It's been great.
I can see you're on fire right now. Scott's on fire. Go, Ben.
Throw some water on me.
Throw some fire on this man. He's on fire.
There you go. So college is a little more, I think, easier to gauge week to week.
Well, let's inject the people with the flames of Scott's favorite picks for the week. I know, obviously, so this was one thing I had sent you. I was like, are you willing to provide some picks? Because I know that this is your living. But let's start with the college football slate. I got a couple of games I like. I got a few on Saturday. I'm keying on. I have no problem sharing them out there. Listen, this is what I do anyways. I like a couple of Pac-12 games, actually. I love UCLA. Plus the points against Utah. I think they're the right side of this game.
I think if Utah was, right, this game would have been a little bit higher line. I think it could have been a 5.5 point spread. It's kind of like solid at 4. I'd probably buy the number up to 5 on UCLA. I think UCLA can play on both sides of the ball with this team. I don't think Utah's faced an offense like this yet. And this Pac-12 teams, man, when they come, they're coming with smoke to score points. So I like UCLA in that game. Buy the line up to +5. Remember, we're doing these shows early in the week, guys, so numbers do change. So try to get the number, like I said, adjusted properly. I would get that line to +5 on the game because it could drop. If it goes up higher, hey, take advantage if it goes higher. But right now I'm on UCLA +5. I also have another Pac-12 game I like. I like Oregon State on the money line against Washington State. I think they are the stronger of the two teams in this situation. Washington, they're both undefeated, going at it. So somebody's has got to go, as they say. And I like Oregon State on the money line, not laying any points in the game, just making it an even line. And Oregon State. And one other game I like, which has come down, but I would get it back up because I should have jumped on it myself earlier. I got so tied up earlier in the week. But UCF will open at +6.5. It's down to 4.5 and 5 now in a lot of books. I think UCF has a big shot in this game as a live dog. They're undefeated as well. And I think they're going to come into this game right. I'd get that line to +5.5 or 6 with an adjustment, and I would jump on UCF. Those are the 3 plays that I'm releasing out to my guys on the public side of it for this Saturday.
Let me get this point in 5.5. Oh, I got you. I know. I was just marking everything down here.
All right, I lost you for a second.
No. Because I was
excited.
No, I was dialed in. I'm like, all right, this dude's giving me fucking winners here. I better pay attention. I love Oregon State, by the way. Oregon State played San Jose State, so I was able to see Oregon State for a full game. The fact that they got Clemson's old quarterback, DJ Ungalele, they don't utilize him like the way that Clemson utilized him. It's way more of a pro-style offense, pound it down your throat. But I do like them with the money line. I took them with the points last week, and they failed to cover. But I think it's just because their offensive style is so control the ball, control the tempo, and it's very slow pace. So I do like them, though, in that spot there. Let's transition quickly into the NFL picks. Is there anything that's piquing your fancy here? Obviously not the Thursday night game. What's going on Sunday, possibly Monday?
Well, I have one best bet that I like in the NFL on Sunday. I have it. I'm still looking at stuff, but there's one I can give you right now on the show. I like it, believe it or not, and I wouldn't have said this a few weeks ago, but I think that with the way their running game's going and the way they're mixing it up, and I think the number on this game was wrong. If Detroit was right in this game, I think they should have opened up a solid 4.5 to 5 points. They did not. They made this line like 3.5. I think Atlanta has a big shot in this game. I'm going to put this out as a surprise play. I like Atlanta, and I would get that line to +4, 4.5, because I think it's going to go up a little bit. I know it's about 3.5 right now at most books. I'm looking at all the big ones like DraftKings, FanDuel, and Caesars, MGM, and all that. But I would jump on Atlanta plus the points. I think they have a big shot in this game against Detroit. I think the running game could slow it down, and I think they could cause some fits there for Detroit at home. And I think the number on this game, like I said, I'm a numbers guy, favors Atlanta to have a good, solid performance in this game.
I agree with you.
So those are the 4 plays I'm putting out.
Boom. Yeah, the 4 plays, make sure that you go and put them in and then report back in the comments how we all did and how we went and spent our money. The Lions is a team that they put up a shit ton of points, but they give up equally as many. It's a game in which, it's going to be a shootout, dude. Like I'm a fan of watching the Lions play. I'm also a fan of watching the way that Bijan Robinson is actually earning his $22 million. They are using that little man in every which facet that they can. And he's really surprised me. Would you say that you've been surprised with how well Bijan's played over the first couple of weeks?
Yeah. I mean, like I said, a couple of weeks ago, you would have talked to me about Atlanta. Kind of, would have kind of laughed a little bit at you, that they'd be 2-0 in this spot and Cincinnati be 0-2. If someone asked you that, how much would you have bet? That bet? that Cincinnati be 0-2 and Atlanta be 2-0 after the first 2 weeks of the season, you kind of would probably say you're out of your mind.
Call you crazy, bro.
But no, they're playing good. They got a great running game. They're managing the ball well. They played a decent game. I mean, Green Bay should have won that game. That was a play I actually put out. I do a show down here in Boca Raton at the Podcast Junkeez studio, and we do it on Tuesdays. But I put out Green Bay when they were a 2-point favorite. That's what I'm saying, sharp numbers, guys. And, we're putting these games out early in the week. So if there's some adjustments, try to adjust them in your favor. Just to give you an example there, I put out Green Bay. They were 2. I said, play them on the money line. But by Friday, Green Bay was +3, even Thursday night. So I didn't have a chance to, so I really had the right side of the game because Green Bay, anyone that bet it, from Thursday on had Green Bay +3. So you got to check your numbers and, do it the right way.
Yeah, my uncle's got himself a little notepad, and as soon as the lines come out, he's tracking every single day throughout the week. And I'm like, man, fuck, Uncle, like, how are we not in a mansion yet? You know what I mean? I'm like, this notepad, clearly you're keeping track of everything, but you're not as good as Scott. We got to be as good as Scott. So, one
old
day,
school though. I love old school with the notepad and the pen.
School.
Love it.
Yes.
I'm doing that too at this stage. They say, what are you making notes for? Why are you writing things down on paper? That's what I do. I've been doing it like that I'm not going to start changing at this stage of my career.
They want you to put it on an Excel spreadsheet.
They want it all on CRM, the whole 9 yards. I'm like, nope, I'm writing this stuff down right on the paper I'm going to stare at.
Well, Scott, you had mentioned your show that you do out of the Boca Raton studios, Podcast Junkeez Studios in Boca Raton. Why don't you go ahead and plug that show? We're going to toss your Instagram up there so people can follow you, but just let them know what that show's about and what else you got coming up.
Well, we do it every week, guys. What we do is same thing, same format, breaking down games. I got two co-hosts with me. I kind of manage the show, keep everyone in the right direction. So the wheels don't fall off the bus, as they say. So we do it every week, and check it out. It's the OSB Sports Podcast. Again, OSB Sports Podcast. And you can check out, listen, we give out free plays. We talk about topics going on. We give you insights. We try to give you the edge. At the end of the day, it's all about an edge. If you can get an edge, hopefully you can make money.
I love it. Scott, thank you so much for coming on today. And Gridiron Junkeez fans, make sure you keep subscribing and following Gridiron Junkeez on all social media platforms. Today's engineer was Trey Lyles. He can care less about football, but he learned a little bit today. And that's what we're here for, Trey. We're here to learn.
Yep, I learned.
Yep, run the stinger.
I hope to come out to Vegas and see you guys do a show live with you.
We